Same thing with my 62 Buick, where I put 64 wheel cylinders in, and the bolt pattern is different. But I realized my problem, and this guy had the same problem. Believe it or not, they changed one. They drilled out these holes pretty badly, but they put these washers. Didn't fall out, and I improved upon it because you have to really grind the bottom of the wheel cylinder to make it fit right. And now that I realize that, because I think that's what I ended up doing with the 62. Now when I go like this, the top bolt actually lines up. It's really just one bolt, when originally I thought both had to be, but then it wasn't sitting straight. So that's basically what this guy came to. He realized that you start grinding at the top one, and then it's really not that, it's the bottom one, and then this one ends up going back in roughly the same spot. So you can see that hole is basically lined up. So I started a small pilot hole right there, and now it's going to be, you know, even safer. And, you know, I'm looking at the hole, maybe like slightly off. It should fit. When you put it all the way and you angle it towards the hub there, it's basically what keeps it centered. So as long as you grind it, and I bought 1968 ones, because if you buy, I was going to actually take everything off my 62, because I thought the likeliness of me having more than one car apart and then starting another project, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it to this one. That ends up being somebody drilled this one out already. And this one, I realized now that I did it on the first one here, looking at what the other guy did and remembering what I had done, that it's really only one hole that needs to be modified, and then you grind the bottom here. So that's basically it, and that should fit. I put 1968 ones in because they're 1 1/8", so it should have better stopping power on top of everything. And they're roughly the same. They're the same housing, just the piston is bigger. I don't know if you, that might not be the best photo, but you can kind of tell. Sorry, only got 2 hands. You can see the housing is the same. It's just it's a smaller piston inside there. You know, this might actually be an 1 1/8" for all I know, with the newer style one. This one was an original one. You know, that's definitely a small guy, because I know it was less than 1 inch, or only 1 inch, I think. And then it goes to 1 1/16". And originally I put the 1 1/16", but now I'm putting 1 1/8" in this car and seeing how that works. I think it should work better, particularly if you have a 1-inch master cylinder. Although I bought the Ford Fairmont master cylinder, but I might change it up. I have another plan because of the way that the firewall like that. I'm kind of not happy with it. I never was with the other one. My other car, I put the Jeep master cylinder, which tends to fit better. This one, I don't think the one from the Ford Fairmont really fits as well. So I shall keep you updated on what I'm doing here. I got this hole drilled here, but it was still off over here, just by a hair. I mean a hair, but it just would not go, and I kept grinding the bottom here flat, and this is really the best I could do. But ultimately, all you had to do is go and put a 5/16 hole there, and now everything should and will line up good. Sorry for the people yelling in the background. Let's see. Yeah, it's like just gonna make it. Just got it started. That ensures that it's tight and it's up against a stop. Basically, it stops on its own. So that tightens. Yeah, and now that's touching there. And the whole wheel cylinder looks straight, so I think that's going to be pretty good. Like I said, this all came out pretty good, but this guy here is wider for this tab that kind of helps hold it. Not that this is really going to do anything, but these two guys, you know, both of them, that's why I remember it not being a problem last time, so I gotta try to widen that. Angle grinder, and I hammered down whatever was left here on this thing that locks the nut, and I'm pretty sure that will never save your brakes from falling apart if you did this wrong. Did it right, you know, this looks like it's a real good thing. All the trouble drilling out a size of washer I had These are used washers, and then I had one new one only, but it was awfully thin. So I got that, I cleaned it up, I opened the package, and then it don't fit. Different thread. So when you go with the 68s, I can only imagine. I thought this guy had. I guess it's just the 64. Must be. Even though it's a thing, but that has the thicker thing, so it would be a direct bolt in. For that, this is a unfortunate thing, but I guess I got to get brake hoses from the 68 because that's the only way it's gonna fit in there. Unfortunately, unless I get some kind of adapter, which is probably kind of cheesy, although I might have a ton of them. Oh well. Now I know what to order next time, but I pretty much ate these hoses. This is the second side. I already did one side. A lot of problems today. This literally took all day. I got it all in, and basically, let's see, let me put the line on. So you can see the adapter in there. I finally got it all. The only problem I see, which I got it loose with an open end, was getting a good wrench on that. I think on my other car, I grinded that with a die grinder just a little bit, because you probably couldn't even get it out all the way. So like in the future, it may be something like you have to, you know, take off the main nuts here and stuff if you really wanted to mess with it. But I remember grinding the arm a bit with a die grinder. I'm not doing that here. I got it loose. It doesn't really have to be, you know, super tight. Obviously, you'll know because the brake will sink and it'll leak, but it's usually not the case. So other than that, everything went together okay as far as the brakes were concerned. I'm upset about that. I probably wouldn't have bothered, but then I would have to buy them online. I was going to just swap everything over from my other car, but because I have a disc brake set up for that, I'm like, I'm probably not going to get it done immediately, you know. So I just got to pop out the races on the other one, set it all up and adjust it, and do the rears. New bearings. Oh, what a mess. Anyway, as you can see, I got the drums cut. It's a waste of time with drums if you don't cut them. They're like, you know, it's worth doing. Like I said, I'm able to get this one. It's possible because that was the one that was modified already. At some time, somebody changed the wheel cylinder. I mean, it still looks tight here, but I had left it loose, and I was able to get an open end on it. Although this was the one I had to loosen myself, you know. So far so good. And it's, you know, I adjust it until it's hard to turn one hand, and then I grab two hands and I'm able to turn it. It's usually enough, you know. So can't go too tight. But I have a plan for the master cylinder on this car. Because it kind of points like down in this position, and I want to kind of fix that. And I want to put, I don't know if I want to put the Ford Fairmount master cylinder on. Although with these bigger things, the pedal should go down more, but it should stop really powerfully. But going back to the 1-inch master is feasible then, because these are the same ones that are in like a 68 car, which is much bigger. And the rears are from, I think it's the same on the 64, although I think I bought the rears for the 64, but I think it's the same on the 68. But it actually helps, you know, divide it more, put more pressure in the front. Even though the shoe width is the same, you can't put the bigger shoes on this. But it should stop good. My other car stops okay. I have the Jeep master cylinder, which is 1-inch, which I have to push a little hard for it. But it's also because I didn't realize, you know, because this is before my time even, and I kept wondering why every time I did one of these cars that you have to beat this off. This is swedged in, these lugs. So because of that, they really don't want to come out, but they also hold it on center and hold it towards the spindle. And that's why the disc brake setup on the other car is feasible. Number one, it has 15-inch rims, which I really can't do with 13-inch rims. So I'm putting the one of these was already loose. One of them was still good. I had a bad hub on the other one, so I changed it, And I told the guy, I said, I don't need the drum, just, you know, make it cheap, send it. He goes, I'll just send the, he started beating it out. He says, this is hard to do. And I says, don't worry about the drum, no big deal. So I beat off the rest of the drum. It was a hell of a job. I got the hub. And then when I took the drum off nicely off my old one and put it on this one, I was like, wow, it's not really centering. And, you know, so it's, you know, you would think that if they can make it, you know, push on with the back, why can't they just make it slide on with the front? It's beyond me why all the cars are like this, you know. I really don't understand it, you know. But maybe to eliminate every possible chance of a pulsating pedal. But I don't know. But I had a hard time anyway. Like, I had some other people's cars that I fixed, and, you know, like, it's still pulsating and everything. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't have a swedge thing. I'm not quite sure what they did. And I had an old car, realized they had these rivets, and the guy couldn't even cut the drum with the rivets. And we popped the rivets out, he cuts the drum, but then you know, like they were saying that, you know, back in the days you used to take a bolt and bolt it together and then rivet it in. So I just took a regular bolt, bolted it in, kind of kept turning it till it's centered, and then it was, you know, feasible. But that's why a lot of people don't like the drums. I think it's because of the swedge thing. So if they can get a swaging tool that'll actually swaging, I don't know, that'll help fix it. Maybe more people will just do the drums and be done with it. But like I said, Scarebird makes the disc brake kit for this, but I don't think it's going to fit on the 13-inch rims. So that's obviously a problem. And that's why I said, you know what, I'm going to keep it, because I'm not going to buy 5 rims. And if it really wasn't on this car, it's just as well. I have 13-inch brand new tires that I haven't used in like 2 or 3 years up here. You know, brand new. And I painted the rims. I actually have 5, you know, it actually has a spare. And I actually had, what do you call it? I actually had 13-inch tires, you know, 5 of them. So it kind of worked out. It was meant to be. So that's why I'm like, I'm just going to go with the drums, but I'm going to make them work better. So, but I'd like the Jeep one I have is a very small reservoir, and it hasn't leaked out any, because it doesn't take much before that back one is off level, you know, where you can't really bleed it. So I want to make it so the master cylinder is more level and it'll fill. This is a much bigger reservoir, not that one, but this phone is messed up. But I have it in the box somewhere here. Oh, right there. So it's a much bigger one. The lines are on this side. Sorry, the inside. But truthfully, the master to sit more level, you know, perpendicular to the wall, instead of the wall being like tilted down like that, and that's the way the master mounts. You know, you can actually put a regular master in there with it's on this side instead of the other side, so when you bleed it doesn't shoot onto the engine or anything like that. So I'm thinking of something in my head, so hopefully I'll get that done. Alright, I don't know if it'll be time to do the rears. Again, my phone is messed up, it's always too bright. But once I do the rears, then I'll put the rest of this one more line, and I'll figure out what to do with the master, and I'll get this car so it can stop, and then maybe I can actually drive it a little bit. But got a little wiring to do, got a lot of stuff to do, so more to come.